Welcome back to Women's Basketball Fandom. This is our second bracket breakdown of the Selection Sunday special here on the WBF. After exploring the exciting matchups in Spokane 1, we're now turning our attention to the Birmingham 2 region, where we'll see a fascinating mix of traditional powerhouses and emerging programs battling for their spot in the Sweet 16 and beyond. The Birmingham region features some of the most compelling storylines in this year's tournament, including the continued dominance of South Carolina, exciting hosting opportunities for programs like Maryland, and several teams making historic appearances. This bracket promises intense competition from the opening tip to the final buzzer. As we continue our comprehensive coverage of the 2025 NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament, let's dive into the Birmingham 2 bracket and explore what makes this region one to watch. Remember to stay tuned to the WBF for our coverage of every round as these storylines develop throughout March Madness. South Carolina, the dominant #1 seed. Sitting atop the Birmingham 2 bracket is South Carolina, a program that has established itself as the gold standard in women's college basketball. Under the brilliant leadership of Coach Dawn Staley, the Gamecocks have earned the overall #1 seed for an astonishing 5th consecutive year, dating back to 2021. This remarkable consistency speaks volumes about the culture of excellence that Staley has built in Columbia. South Carolina's dominance starts with their imposing post presence, led by the formidable duo of Chloe Kitts and Fagan. These two have controlled the paint on both ends of the floor all season, creating high-percentage scoring opportunities on offense while altering and blocking countless shots on defense. Their ability to establish position early and maintain it throughout possessions gives South Carolina a distinct advantage against virtually any opponent. What truly separates this Gamecocks team, however, is their suffocating defense. Coach Staley has instilled a defensive mindset that permeates every aspect of their play. They contest every pass, fight through screens, communicate seamlessly on switches, and rarely allow uncontested shots. Opposing teams often find themselves forced deep into the shot clock before settling for low-percentage attempts. South Carolina will open their tournament journey against 16th seed Tennessee Tech, a matchup that heavily favors the Gamecocks on paper. Tennessee Tech earned their automatic bid by winning their conference tournament, but they'll face an enormous challenge against a South Carolina team with legitimate national championship aspirations. For South Carolina, anything short of a Final Four appearance would be considered a disappointment. Their path begins in Birmingham, where they'll aim to showcase the dominance that has made them the team to beat in women's college basketball for the past half-decade. Here at the WBF, we'll be closely monitoring how Tennessee Tech attempts to counter South Carolina's overwhelming advantages in their first-round matchup. Utah versus Indiana. Our 8-9 matchup in the Birmingham region features the Utah Utes taking on the Indiana Hoosiers in what projects to be one of the most competitive first-round games. Utah enters the tournament as the 8th seed under first-year head coach Gavin Peterson, who has impressively maintained the program's momentum despite the coaching transition. Peterson's ability to connect with his players and implement his system effectively has been one of the more underrated coaching stories of this season. The Utes play with discipline and poise, rarely beating themselves with careless mistakes. On the other side, Indiana comes in as the 9th seed, making their 6th consecutive NCAA tournament appearance, a testament to the program's stability and consistent excellence. The Hoosiers are led by standout guard Yarden Gorn, whose creative playmaking and clutch shooting have been the catalyst for Indiana's success this season. Gorn has a knack for elevating her game in critical moments, making her a player to watch as the tournament pressure intensifies. This matchup presents a fascinating contrast in program trajectories. Utah with a new coach looking to establish his tournament credentials versus Indiana with their established tournament pedigree, seeking to advance once again. The winner will likely face the daunting task of taking on South Carolina in the second round, but both teams have the talent and experience to potentially give the Gamecocks a challenge. Maryland versus Norfolk State. The 4-13 matchup in Birmingham features the Maryland Terrapins hosting the Norfolk State Spartans in College Park, creating an exciting home court advantage for Coach Brenda Freese's squad. Maryland earning the 4 seed and hosting privileges represents a significant achievement for a program that has battled through multiple injuries throughout the season. Coach Freeze has once again demonstrated her elite adaptability, adjusting rotations and game plans to maximize her available talent. The resilience shown by this Terrapins team speaks volumes about the culture Freeze has established during her tenure. Having the opportunity to play on their home floor gives Maryland a meaningful advantage in this opening round matchup. The familiar surroundings and supportive crowd could prove valuable as the Terrapins look to advance. Norfolk State enters the tournament as the 13th seed following a historic season in which they reached the 30-win plateau for the first time since moving to Division I in 1997-98. This remarkable achievement highlights the program's growth and development over recent years. The Spartans will embrace their underdog status and look to channel that energy into a potential upset bid. For Norfolk State, this opportunity represents a chance to announce themselves on the national stage. Their journey to this point has been years in the making, and they won't be intimidated by the moment or the environment in College Park. As we watch this matchup unfold, we'll be paying close attention to how Norfolk State handles Maryland's home court advantage and whether the Terrapins can capitalize on their familiar surroundings. Here at Women's Basketball Fandom, we appreciate these program-building stories that make March Madness such a special event, and will continue following both teams' journeys throughout the tournament. Alabama versus Green Bay. In our 5-12 matchup, the Alabama Crimson Tide will face the Green Bay Phoenix in what could potentially become one of those classic 5-12 upsets that define March Madness. Alabama enters as the 5 seed, powered by one of the most dynamic offenses in the country. The Crimson Tide play at a relentless pace, pushing the ball in transition and generating high-percentage scoring opportunities before defenses can get set. Their ability to score in bunches makes them dangerous against any opponent, as they can erase deficits quickly or build substantial leads in short order. Green Bay secured the 12th seed after an impressive 29-win season, their best campaign since 2017-18. The Phoenix bring a disciplined, well-executed approach that has been the program's hallmark for decades. They don't beat themselves with careless mistakes, and they maximize their possessions through precise execution and patient shot selection. This matchup presents a fascinating stylistic contrast: Alabama's high-octane offense against Green Bay's methodical execution. The Crimson Tide will look to dictate the tempo and turn the game into a track meet, while Green Bay will aim to control possession, limit turnovers, and force Alabama to execute in the half-court. For Green Bay, this opportunity represents a chance to add another memorable chapter to their program's storied history. For Alabama, it's about avoiding the 5-12 upset that seems to occur somewhere in the bracket every year. Women's Basketball Fandom viewers will want to pay close attention to the pace of this game. Whichever team successfully imposes their preferred tempo will likely emerge victorious. We'll be analyzing this critical aspect of the matchup in our coverage here on the WBF. North Carolina versus Oregon State. Our 3-14 matchup features the North Carolina Tar Heels taking on the Oregon State Beavers in what appears to be a significant mismatch on paper, but could prove more competitive than the seeding suggests. North Carolina enters as the 3 seed following another strong season in the ultra-competitive ACC. The Tar Heels bring a balanced attack with talent at every position, making them difficult to scheme against or contain. Their versatility on both ends of the floor allows them to adapt to different opponents and playing styles, a valuable asset in tournament play where adjustments often determine outcomes. Oregon State comes in as the 14th seed after capturing the West Coast Conference Championship to secure their automatic bid. What makes the Beavers' story particularly compelling is their remarkable recovery after losing most of their scoring from the previous season. This resilience and ability to reinvent themselves speaks volumes about the coaching staff and the players' buy-in to the program's vision. For Oregon State, this appearance represents validation of their rebuilding process and the culture they've established. While they enter as significant underdogs against North Carolina, they've already defied expectations just to reach this point, and they'll bring that same nothing-to-lose mentality into this first-round matchup. The Tar Heels will need to avoid looking ahead to potential later-round matchups, as Oregon State has the potential to make this game interesting if North Carolina isn't fully focused. Tournament history is filled with examples of higher seeds being challenged by supposedly overmatched opponents, and the Beavers have the confidence and momentum to potentially create problems. Here at the WBF, we're particularly interested in seeing how Oregon State's conference tournament success translates to the bigger stage of March Madness. West Virginia versus Columbia, Washington. In our 6-11 matchup, the West Virginia Mountaineers will face the winner of the first 4 game between the Columbia Lions and the Washington Huskies. West Virginia secured the 6th seed largely on the strength of their suffocating defense, which has been their identity throughout the season. The Mountaineers contest every pass, pressure ball handlers, and make opponents work for every basket. Their ability to create turnovers and convert them into transition opportunities has been a key ingredient in their success. The Mountaineers will face either Columbia or Washington, depending on the outcome of their first 4 matchup. Columbia would be making their first ever NCAA tournament appearance if they advance, adding another newcomer to this exciting bracket. Washington, meanwhile, brings Pac-12 pedigree and a history of tournament success, though they've had to battle through a challenging season to reach this point. This potential contrast, West Virginia's established defensive identity against either Columbia's historic first appearance or Washington's attempt to recapture past glory, creates compelling storylines regardless of which team advances from the first 4. For West Virginia, the challenge will be maintaining their defensive intensity regardless of opponent, while preparing for 2 potential teams adds another layer of complexity to their tournament preparation. Their ability to adjust quickly once their opponent is determined could prove crucial to their first-round success. Women's basketball fandom viewers will want to pay close attention to our coverage of the Columbia-Washington first 4 matchup, as we'll provide analysis of how the winner might match up against West Virginia's defensive pressure in our continuing tournament coverage. Duke versus Lehigh. Our 2-15 matchup features the ACC champion Duke Blue Devils taking on the Lehigh Mountain Hawks, who are seeking their first ever NCAA tournament victory. Duke enters as the 2 seed following an impressive run through both the ACC regular season and tournament. The Blue Devils have built their success on a stingy defense that ranks among the nation's best in multiple categories. Their ability to disrupt opposing offenses and force teams into difficult shots has been their calling card throughout the season. Freshman standout Toby Fourier has been a revelation for Duke, bringing energy, athleticism, and basketball IQ beyond her years. Her emergence has elevated the Blue Devils from a good team to a legitimate Final Four contender, giving them playmaking and scoring they might have otherwise lacked. Lehigh secured the 15th seed by winning their conference tournament, earning the automatic bid that brings them to this matchup against Duke. While the Mountain Hawks enter as significant underdogs, they've embraced the opportunity to compete on the national stage and potentially secure the program's first NCAA tournament victory. For Duke, this game represents the first step in what they hope will be a deep tournament run befitting their ACC championship pedigree. For Lehigh, it's a chance to create a historic moment for their program against one of women's basketball's most recognizable brands. The contrast between these programs, Duke with their championship expectations versus Lehigh with their historic aspirations, embodies what makes the NCAA tournament such a special event. Here at the WBF, we celebrate these stories that highlight both established excellence and programs looking to make their mark. Vanderbilt versus Oregon. Our final first-round matchup in the Birmingham 2 region features the Vanderbilt Commodores taking on the Oregon Ducks in what could be one of the most entertaining games of the opening round. Vanderbilt enters as the 7th seed, powered by the highest-scoring duo in the country, Michaela Blakes and Camille Pierre. These two have torched defenses all season with their complementary skills and seamless chemistry. Blakes operates primarily from the perimeter with elite shooting and playmaking, while Pierre dominates the interior with her size, strength, and touch around the basket. Together, they give Vanderbilt a scoring punch that few teams can match. Oregon comes in as the 10th seed, led by impact transfer Deja Kelly, who has injected new life into the Ducks program. Kelly's leadership, scoring ability, and big game experience have been invaluable for Oregon this season, helping them navigate a challenging schedule to earn their at-large bid. Her tournament experience will be crucial as the Ducks look to advance. This 7-10 matchup has all the ingredients for a potential bracket buster. Vanderbilt's dynamic scoring duo against Oregon's balanced attack led by Kelly creates a fascinating contrast in offensive approaches. The team that can impose their preferred style and tempo will likely emerge victorious. For women's basketball fandom viewers who appreciate offensive basketball, this game promises to deliver excitement and scoring. We'll be highlighting the Blake-Pierre duo and Kelly's impact in our pregame coverage, providing insights on how these stars might perform under the bright lights of March Madness. Conclusion and regional outlook. As we conclude our breakdown of the Birmingham 2 region here on Women's Basketball Fandom, it's clear that this bracket features compelling storylines at every seed line. From South Carolina's continued dominance at the top to programs like Norfolk State and potentially Columbia making historic appearances, the diversity of experiences represented in this region embodies the special nature of March Madness. The opening weekend's games will be spread across Friday and Saturday, giving basketball fans plenty of action to enjoy. Key matchups like South Carolina beginning their title quest against Tennessee Tech, Maryland hosting Norfolk State in College Park, and Duke facing Lehigh will provide entertainment and potentially some early bracket drama. While South Carolina enters as the deserving favorite, the beauty of the NCAA tournament lies in its unpredictability. Will we see one of those classic 5-12 upsets with Green Bay challenging Alabama? Can Vanderbilt's high-scoring duo carry them on a surprise run? Or will the cream rise to the top, with South Carolina and Duke advancing as expected to a compelling Elite Eight showdown? Thank you for joining us for this second installment of our Selection Sunday coverage here on the WBF. Don't forget to check out our breakdowns of the remaining 2 brackets, where we'll analyze every matchup with the same depth and passion for women's basketball. We will be back later this week with our own completed WBF bracket. We invite you to fill out your own and share it with us. We will share everyone's bracket with the hashtag WBFandomBrackets and shout out our winners. Remember to like this video, subscribe to Women's Basketball Fandom if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell to ensure you don't miss any of our tournament coverage. We'll be back with updates after each round, providing analysis, reactions, and previews as we follow these teams through their March Madness journey. Until next time, this is the WBF, where our passion for women's basketball knows no bounds.